Good evening. This is the Town of Barnstable Waterways Committee meeting for February the 28th, 2023. Present are members Peter Cross, Gary Shremick, Greg Egan, Todd Willantis, and myself, Paul Everson. And also present with us for the Town of Barnstable, our Harbor Master Brian Taylor, Assistant Harbor Master Jay Horn, and the Divisional Assistant Pam Swider-Cohen. Before we get going, I'd like to note that tonight's meeting is being recorded and broadcast on channel 18 and in accordance with Mass General Law 30A, Section 20. I must inquire whether anybody is taping this meeting, and if so, please make their presence known to the chair. Not hearing any response in the positive for that. We'll jump into tonight's agenda, and we're going to first of all skip the meeting notes on January the 24th. They're still being worked on, not quite ready yet. So we'll go into the first notice of intent, which is Angela Y. Hahn at 150 Bay Road in Katuitt. Map 7, parcel 18, the applicant proposes to construct and maintain a 4-foot wide brushed footpath through 50-foot buffer, bank access stairs, pile supported dinghy dock with a 3x12 ramp and an 8x12 float for and kayak raft. I believe that would be in Papaneset Bay or Shoestring Bay. I'm sorry. Would that be right, Jay?
That's right, Mr. Chairman. This property is in Shoestring Bay. It is outside of the designated mooring field. I believe there is an engineer to speak to the plans tonight. Is that correct?
Good evening. Arlene Wilson, AM Wilson Associates. I hope you can hear me.
Okay.
And I am a wetlands consultant as opposed to an engineer. This pier request is like most of the others along this reach of shore. It's a pile supported pier because the sediments are so soft and muddy that you really can't get a 4x4 post long enough to support the structures very well. And it's a dinghy dock because it doesn't have enough depth of water to meet the Conservation Commission regulations to have a motor. It is about the same length in terms of intrusion into the waterway as the pier to the south. And beyond that, I'd be happy to answer questions.
Okay, thank you, Arlene. Water depth at the end of the pier, was it about a foot and a half?
Foot and a half.
Okay. Yeah, I'm quite familiar with that area and it being so muddy there. Okay, questions from any of the members? Okay, hearing none. So when you say the dock to the south of it, that almost looks like a boat on that dock. Are you familiar with that one?
Some of the older docks along here got permits before the Conservation Commission came up with their depth requirements. And so there are several piers that support motorboats. Unfortunately, we can't do that here.
Okay, and how far into the water sheet would this actually go?
It's 50 feet beyond low water and about 80 feet from the high water mark.
Okay, thank you. Input from the Harbor Master's office?
We don't have an issue with this NOI. I just pulled up the plans for you if anyone wants to take a look at them. It is very reasonable request, 50 feet from mean low water. Actually looks like it extends out the same distance, as she said, as the one to the south. So I don't see any navigational concerns here.
Okay, thank you. All right. I don't have a problem with that, so let's just put it out to a vote. Peter?
Approved.
Okay, Gary?
Approved.
Greg?
In favor.
Okay, thank you, and Todd?
In favor.
All right, and myself as well. Okay, so we're unanimous on that one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arlene.
Okay, thank you. The next item we have is Laurie Sidman, trustee for 185 Ocean View Ave in Katuitt. Map 33, parcel 16. The applicant proposes to repair, maintain, and relocate pierhead and boat lifts. Due to shoreline accretion, pier lifts will be adjusted 25 feet seaward. The pier will extend 60 feet from mean high water. We have somebody representing this project.
Yes, John O'Day from Sullivan Engineering and Consulting is here. I'll give you a little bit of background. I think it's great that we've got the aerials up. This is an existing pier. In the last 10 years, this stretch of shoreline has experienced extreme accretion. The shoreline has filled in about 40 feet, 44 feet, to the point where the pier has 3 existing boat lifts on it. I think that one of them is likely not operational at all at this point. One of them is limited to maybe only the highest of high tides. And so what we're seeking to do is just to try to recreate the use that had been there by relocating these boat lifts further seaward, where the shoreline is filled in about 44 feet. We're looking to just extend 25 feet. I think would get us to the point where these lifts are operational again. And I think that the channel, based on our plan and with kind of the work that had been done out at Sampson's Island, is probably about 225 feet away. There is a mooring that you can see there based on our survey work out there. We had that about 100 feet, and it seemed like the channel markers were actually on the far side of it. So we hope that this wouldn't be any further impact to navigation in the area, and that they could get back to using the pier that they had. I think I'd be happy to answer any questions that the committee might have at this point.
Okay, John, thank you very much. The aerial or the picture we're looking at right here, right now, is this since the last dredging, or is that prior to the last dredging?
This is pretty accurate. This is since the last dredging.
Okay. All right. And the area affected, would that be those inside floats there, or the inside lifts?
So in this aerial, you can see that there's still a boat in that inside lift, and that's on the north side. I think that's like a Katuitt skiff. I don't know if this was last summer, it might have still been, or a summer and a half ago, it might have still been operational. I don't even know if it was usable this summer. The boat on the south side, and you can see there that the bow has filled in to a point that the cradle basically can't get down into the water enough to float the boat off. The outside on the north is a whaler. I think that was probably still reasonably usable in this aerial, and even still this past summer.
Okay, thanks. The cradle that we see empty, was that a very large blue hull boat? I think I remember.
It's like a 30-something Huckins, I think.
Okay. Okay. Input from the Harbor Master Department on this one.
Well, most of the navigation, the channel is actually to the east of this mooring. So I don't see navigation as an issue so much. But I think we've touched base on this before. We're getting a lot of requests for people to extend their docks. And I feel in this instance that dredging might be a better solution.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, what concerns me is we have that sand, even though Sampson's has been dredged. You can see in this, that's why I was asking about the date on this photo. I mean, that is really coming across. That's coming across. And historically, that whole western edge has been scoured out at times, and it's gotten deeper. If you kind of zoom in, now I see some of those jetties up at Riley's Beach, they have kind of filled in as well. But as I'm sure everybody knows, this is quite a choke point for Katuitt, boats coming in and out. My concern is what's happening with the eastern side and that sand coming off and into the channel there. Are we starting to lose that? Are we starting to shallow in there? I'm not really in favor of anything on that dock coming more into the channel, as opposed to, you know, it's all sand. So I mean, as far as a dredge, you know, I don't think we have to worry about bad materials, but I'm apprehensive about anything coming closer into the channel. Let's get members' input on this. Peter?
Yeah, I agree. I'm reluctant to say yes to this project, having been through there many times myself with my own boat. And depending on the tide and the wind, that gets pretty tight through there, especially on a busy weekend day. I think that dredging at the pier point would be a better solution than extending the pier.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, I agree. I know the end of the island, and that would be an issue if they went out further. Dredging, in my opinion, I agree, is the best option.
Okay, thank you. And Greg?
Yeah, I have a question for Mr. O'Day. If any of his study and surveying, does he have any comment that Sampson's is creeping to the west, or is that stable? Or, you know, we see that wisp there. Do you have any comment on that?
I think that historically Sampson's has, you know, the material all the way down from West Bay migrates westerly. So that there, you know, it does migrate. That channel was sort of reestablished over the last 5 or 6 years, I think, to get it back to where it had once been. You know, we did look at the potential of dredging, and, you know, the extent of accretion that we have seen there, again, 44 feet. I don't think any of us have ever seen anything like that anywhere in our years here. I don't think that level or speed of accretion would have been sustainable with dredging. I think it would have had to have been dredged more than once a year to try to maintain the use of that pier.
Over what period of time do you see this acceleration?
So we're going back to the information from 2010, which is when the lift was, I believe, added on the south side of the pier. So between 2010 and now, they reached out to us first about a little over a year ago. We did some study and looking into the existing conditions, and then kind of did a further follow-up this past summer to see that, you know, this wasn't an anomaly and that something actually has been occurring out there. And again, I think that, you know, it's been pointed out where the mooring is, and so where the actual flow of traffic is more than 100 feet away from the end of, even after, you know, if this was to be extended the 25 feet, there is more waterway here than probably when the pier had originally been constructed, kind of given the town's starting to maintain that channel.
Thank you. I guess I would ask through the chair, if we were to grant an extension, is there any way that you know, it could be worded that that's the last time? If it happens again, you can't go any further?
I suppose if we were to react to this in a favorable manner, that could be a condition that, you know, we would certainly recommend if we were to go that way.
I would just see, you know, no one knows what these forces are, and over certain delta of time, you know, you could in 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, you could ask to come out again. And so, you know, it seems like a tremendous amount of material that's in there, and that's why I was curious about the time buildup. So I'd be open to that consideration.
Okay.
And if I could just add on to that, I think that, you know, we have certainly over the years been before this committee and to conservation to expand upon existing docks and to improve them and to get bigger and better boats onto them. And I think that this is a little bit of a different situation where we're just trying to get back to, you know, what had been here. And certainly a dynamic environment out there. Things could be, in 10 years, the tip of Sampson's might be gone. I mean, who knows, you know, where things. I can certainly appreciate the committee's suggestion that there's certainly there's no guarantee that what we're proposing today is going to be acceptable, and there's definitely no guarantee of things in the future, and they should be certainly monitoring and thinking about other ways of trying to maintain their use out there. But I do think this is a little bit different than a lot of the projects that you might see of getting bigger.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Todd?
I'm certainly in favor of having people restore their previous uses. I will say, however, in this particular situation, that I think since that winter of 2017-18, when they did all the dredging and pumped it up onto the east end over by the Osterville Cut, that it's kind of changed the rules for how everything moves. And the Katua Cut in particular seems to be a really fluid situation. It changes throughout the summer, never mind by the year. And as much as I'd be in favor of extending a dock, I think that might be rather short-sighted based on the fact that it's changing so rapidly that even a modest 25-foot increase, if all the material that's being pumped over to the Osterville side continues to migrate westerly and closes off that channel, then we're really limiting some navigational options, never mind water flow that's so integral part of those three bays network. So I guess at this point, I'd be really concerned about granting that extension, because I'm nervous about what's going to happen in the future, and I don't think there's any historical basis to help support it at this point in time, or at least it hasn't been demonstrated.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my final input would be that, you know, over the many years, just watching this, you know, where the migration to the west of that sand, certainly no slowdown in use of this passage in and out, you know, particularly on the weekends, you know, the boat traffic. I would be reluctant to approve or recommend that we extend this pier into such a choke point. I would like to see the possibility of a dredge trying to attack it. And I'm just wondering, how much, if you went back in, I'm just looking at the bow of that Katuitt skiff, or the smaller boat on the inside there, if you were to go back up to there, and then even on the southwestern side of that, to, take off, that sand there too. I know we do have a scouring effect of the water emptying out of Katuitt Harbor along that edge. I don't know how much of that grew before the Sampson's project, where they cut off the tip, if that has slowed down the flow of sand into that corner, but I would certainly be my preference to see an attempt at a dredge of that area, and then monitor that and see how much it does build up year over year. Anything further from any of the members for input? We'll put it to vote.
Yeah.
Okay, hearing nothing. Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, I'm uneasy about voting in favor of this. We've been experiencing tremendously high tides on a regular basis now, along with a lot of southwest winds, which moves a lot of sand in all directions, not just in Katuitt or Osterville, but in Hyannis and other places on the South Shore as well. And for that reason, I think it's the situation is just too fluid and dynamic to say yes to this project.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, is it possible to look back at an aerial of before the dredging as to what the corner looked like? Just sort of thinking of a worst case scenario if it all went back to the way it was 6 years ago in terms of the tip of Sampson's.
Let's see what Jake can come up with here.
Harbor Master Taylor brought up the time-lapse photo, and from 1980 until now, Sampson's has done nothing but move to the west. So we found that pretty interesting. Here's the old photo of what it looked like. You can see the channel is substantially bigger there.
What year is that?
I'm not sure of the year, Peter, but it was pre-dredging.
Yeah,
It says imagery date of 2021, so that's post dredging.
Yeah, I think it says or newer. You can search Google Earth time lapse, but you can't get this close, but you can see the time lapse if you want to do that, Jay.
I mean, I can tell you from physically sitting on the point for 20 years that it's changed dramatically. My kids grew up there, and it's a different place now. You used to be able to walk around the point in 30 seconds, and now if you actually were to walk around the point to get onto the south side, it's probably a 3 to 5 minute walk.
It doesn't let you go in.
There's a play button. Yeah, you can do it like that too.
Kind of hard to tell from the image, but you can see it. That only goes to 2020. I think ArcGIS has the most recent photo of the area.
Yeah, it's not, I don't think it's timestamped, so it'd be tough to actually indicate what the what the date is of this image compared to Google Earth, but that's something you could potentially bring forward if you wanted to at a future meeting.
Yeah, I think that if we could, we would prefer to maybe take a continuance on this a month and see if we can't gather some additional information about what's happening out at Sampson's to see whether we could get some more comfort level with the committee.
And Harbor Master Taylor, didn't you say there's a comprehensive dredge plan?
Yeah, we do have a
for this
comprehensive
area?
dredge plan. That's correct, for the town of Barnstable, which does include the Katuitt entrance channel from Nantucket Sound. So timing wise, I'm not sure where we stand with that, but it is part of the comprehensive dredge plan. But that's really for the channel coming into the Katuitt cut and from the Sound. So it's a little bit further down, but it does also include up until the backside of Sampson's Island.
Okay, thank you. For Mr. O'Day, you may want to check also Woods Hole Oceanographic. There were two brothers, I believe they were, that did extensive, maybe Eastman. I probably botched the name, but our past friend Peter Murray was always reporting how much they monitored the migration of sand on the south side of the Cape. And it was mentioned before about this particular area. So you may want to look into that too, to give you a kind of a historic perspective as to the migration.
I think we could certainly do that.
Okay, thank you. So what we'll do is we'll not act on this now. We'll continue this without an opinion to a meeting down the road. And you just let us know when you want to come back.
Will do. I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Okay, next, mooring appeals. We have none. Old business mooring regulations.
Yeah, it's still on the agenda, guys. I'm trying to get through mooring renewal season. And then we discussed potentially having a workshop, potentially sometime in April and May, if that works with the committee. There's some few mooring regulations we want to change. And Brian, Harbor Master Taylor also wants to present the change in the marina fees to the committee and work on that going forward.
Okay, so we'll take that as a package and possibly shoot for a May workshop on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Correspondence hearing for renewal of aquaculture grant for Jonathan Martin, 14 Locust Lane, Barnstable, town manager. Public hearing will be held on Wednesday, March 15th, 9 a.m. We have any input on that?
I didn't receive any information on it, Chairman.
Okay.
Just public information.
Okay, thank you. Harbor Master report.
I'll keep it short for you guys. We're still in mooring renewal season. Today was the first deadline, February 28th. People have the entire month of March to renew. However, there is a $50 late fee that's being applied. Right now, we've done 2,238 permits so far up till today. Last year, we did 21. So we still have about 300 people who haven't renewed their moorings yet. And that's all I got for you guys tonight. I'm going to keep it short.
Yeah, real quick, I just wanted to add to that and thank Jay and the MEA staff for efficient mooring renewal season so far. We've processed 90% of moorings. In fact, sometimes when individuals bring in their mooring permit, we actually hand them a sticker back before they leave the door, which is nice. We have multiple ways for people to renew: online, in person, Dropbox. So we're trying to hit all different aspects to accommodate people's lives. Realistically, the past few years, the efficiency of the process has surely improved. I remember doing it myself and sometimes taking me until April, even the middle of May to finish and going through all the paper applications. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to my staff here at MEA. They've really done a great job. Kind of set up a process and got through the mooring renewal process efficiently. That's it.
Great. All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for that input, and congratulations to the staff for doing a great job.
Can I just remind people of the traffic issue? You can still get to our office. It
Good
depends
point, Pam.
on the road. Thank you.
Yeah, so our office is open for business. MEA in front of Finney's Lane is having a little bit of work done. on the road area, but we are open for business. You just need to tell the officer that's sitting out in front that you're gonna go to MEA and he'll let you through.
Great. All right, thank you. Well, hopefully that's another process that smooths out sooner rather than later. All right, anybody have anything else for the meeting? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, Peter, thank you.
Second,
Second by Greg, thank you very much, all. Our next meeting, I don't have that in front, but Pam, do you have the next meeting date handy?
March 28th, I think.
Okay, I know we
That's
have.
correct. March
have a-
28th.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all. Productive meeting as always. Thanks, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the day.